Hello subscribers and non-subscribers, welcome to another episode of DayZ. This episode is actually just going to be me having recorded some footage of different uh, option settings for DayZ Standalone. And of course, as always, actually should not expect to see lots of DayZ content on this channel. It's something that I just hop on periodically to see what's going on. And maybe if we're lucky, by the time this video goes up, the new version of DayZ will be released for stable. But yeah, nonetheless, this first portion is from a guide that I'll have a link in the description to. And there's a couple of settings that, what is it? There's a couple settings in there that says like if you have a powerful GPU, you should set this setting to like high or very high. In my case, I usually just, granted, I do have an R9 200 series, but anytime it said that, I usually just set that option to either like disabled or normal. So I don't actually show what my options settings were for this little portion here. And I'll be honest, actually, this video is somewhat more so for me to see sort of a comparison between the different versions. And they're all recorded in the same area, and I try to sort of replicate the same run that I make each time. I try to replicate it as closely as possible, just to try to ensure that the there's very little in the way of variation. But nonetheless, yeah, so like I said, this video is sort of for me, but it can also allow you guys to see what the or see maybe how certain settings will impact your performance, even though for some settings it's actually going to be somewhat obvious how they would impact your FPS and whatnot. So yeah, this first little portion is like 10 minutes long, I think, almost. And it's just me running around here, and the FPS isn't bad. It's definitely better than when I usually play with the settings I had before. The settings I had before, I would usually get less than 20 FPS when it actually came down to it. And I might throw that in actually, like maybe at the end of the video, a little. Well, no, because that doesn't actually have my settings. To be honest, actually, when it comes down to it, or it doesn't show the FPS. But nonetheless, generally speaking, I get like less than 20 FPS when it comes to actually with my normal settings. So here I'm doing much better. I'm getting 25, generally speaking. Sometimes it'll hop up to like 32 or something like that. So following the guide isn't necessarily bad. Well, at least not in the actual recording. When it actually comes down to when I'm actually playing, however, I do have the sudden drops down to like 17 FPS. Actually, no, never mind. We saw it right there. It like locks up, and then when it comes back, it's at 17 FPS. And it actually does that quite often with the setup that I'm using from the guide. So that doesn't necessarily work, to be completely honest. So yeah. So I may just go and take what the guide says when it actually comes down to it and do some tweaking to it. But nonetheless, the guide, generally speaking, I think was better to a degree than what some of the other ones were. It sort of had a nice middle ground, I'd say, between the game looking good and actually having good performance. And of course, if you want to know my actual game setup, just go to the About page on my channel. That'll actually list it. And I'm pretty sure it's up to date. Let me actually go and confirm that real quick. I might not have updated with the with me having gotten more RAM, like, I don't know, I think 6 months ago. Oh, no. Yeah, seems to be pretty much spot on. Uh, yeah, that seems to be correct. Yeah, so if you want to know what my actual PC specs are, just go to the About page on my channel. You should be able to go there. I'm pretty sure it's not like blocked for basically anyone that's not me, because that'd be kind of silly. So yeah, you can just go there and see what my PC specs are. And so yeah, but here, generally speaking, I mean, granted, this area may not be the best um, place to actually go and record this footage, because it may not necessarily be accurate to the kind of FPS I would actually get in other areas. But to be honest, this is the area that I was in when I logged in, and this is the area where I tend to hang out. I don't play that often. I usually hop on for maybe a couple minutes. Generally speaking, only when they do an update, but this was sort of the exception, to see what kind of performance I got. And when they finally get around to putting out their, well, since they renamed the engine, since they feel as though they did so many edits that's no longer the same engine. Um, Once they finally get around to pushing that out, I will go and actually probably record another one of these, just for the sake of having a comparison to see really whether or not the new engine actually helps my performance really significantly. Um, and okay, this one's almost done. But nonetheless, yeah, here the FPS has generally been fairly good. I generally speaking hang around the mid 20s. Sometimes I'll get these just like split second jumps up into the low 30s for the FPS, but generally speaking, it tends to hang out around the mid 20s, which is still better than what I got before. Because, like I said before, I was usually hanging out below 20, and it was honestly, actually, I think it was around usually 17 and 18 FPS, which isn't exactly good. But yeah, so like I said, I'll have a link in the description to the guide. And basically, anywhere where it says if you have a powerful GPU, put this setting on high or very high, I actually personally advise you to either disable it or set it to normal, because that's what I did here pretty much. And that should, if you are having FPS issues, that should help you out a bit. But to be honest, for me, because of the fact that I don't play that often, it doesn't actually matter to me that much when it comes to getting good FPS, because I don't play enough to really warrant me caring for it, to be completely honest with you. So I guess while I wait for it to go and transition on to the next section, which I'll actually have the settings listed at the end of that little segment, or maybe I'll do it at the beginning. I don't know. You guys will see come the final product whether or not it's before that segment or after it. I think I'll be doing it after, however, just because that's already how I have them set up to go. But yeah, so like I said, actually before this ends, because there's a little bit of free time before, I have let me see. I've got a couple of links that you guys can go to that'll actually allow you to help support the channel. And honestly, this is definitely much better than ad revenue, to be completely honest with you guys. Especially if you use ad block, this is a nice way to still help the channel out. Because I'll admit I actually use ad block myself, but I am using one that allows the whitelisting of YouTube channels, so really it only blocks ads on any website that's not YouTube, essentially. But some links you guys can go to is my Game Fan shop. I have a link in the description to it, and it's also actually on my main page, or on my channel page. And then I have a Play Asia link, which for anyone that's interested in importing or getting anything that you would have to import, actually, here is the before I actually continue that thought. Here is the next one. This is what I have AMD Gaming Evolved set to for optimizing the game for quality. This is around the FPS that I would usually get with the setup or settings that I had before. So yeah, not that good, to be completely honest with you. It's not good at all. And you guys will should more than likely actually notice the how slow the FPS is here. To be completely honest with you, you should be able to see it. But yeah, let me go back to the thought I was saying. I have a Play Asia link that I'll have in the description. That's another way for you guys to support the channel, especially if you're the kind of person who wants to import things from, well, Asia, hence their name. So for example, like if someone was interested in, say, like a PlayStation Vita, for example, you can actually go use the Play Asia link that I have down there, and basically any link you go to would be an affiliate link for me. And of course, if you buy it from there, which it is actually cheaper, generally speaking, to buy a Vita from Play Asia than it is to buy it anywhere else, to be completely honest with you. It's kind of sad. But nonetheless, you can go there, buy it. I would get a certain cut of the purchase. I don't actually know exactly how much it would be. But that would help support the channel. In fact, let me see. At the time which I'm recording this, I think they're still having a sale on the PlayStation Vitas. So give me 1 second to actually go and pull these up. I believe it's $2.15 generally speaking when they do their sales. Yeah, because they're selling the new version of the PlayStation Vita. Yeah, when they do their sales, they're generally speaking around 215 US dollars. They usually cost 250. If I were to go and actually take a look over at Amazon and see what Amazon is charging for the base PlayStation Vita, you'll actually see a fairly significant difference in price, to be completely honest with you. So 1 second, let me go and see what Amazon charges for them. Oh, and actually my FPS here has jumped up, but that may just be because I'm in a building. I honestly think it's probably just because I'm in a building, to be honest with you. And in case you haven't noticed, all of this commentary is post. So, yeah. Although that should have been obvious. Amazon is charging for a PlayStation Vita with just Wi-Fi only. They are charging $262 at the time in which I am recording this. Price may change come when this video is released. And then their PlayStation Vita 3G and Wi-Fi bundle is 280 US dollars right now. Usually costs 200 or 300 for that one. So getting the PlayStation Vita Slim from Play Asia is actually cheaper, to be honest. Even once you take into account shipping, to be completely honest, which is kind of sad that pretty much importing something is actually cheaper than just buying it from within your own country. And the Vita, to my knowledge, is not region locked, so you don't actually have to worry about that. So you can import it and not have to worry about it being set to Japan or China or South Korea for its region, because it's actually region blocked. So, or it's not region locked. There we go. I think I might have screwed that up before, but the PS Vita is not region locked, so you can just buy basically whatever version you want and you won't have to worry about it. But yeah, at the time which I'm recording this, they're having some sales on these different versions. Most of them cost $214.99. One of them is actually $217.99, but generally speaking, they're $214.99. But yeah, and this little segment here is actually about to end, and the um, options that it provided me are going to be popping up very shortly, like in the next minute and a half. No, I think less than that. Whatever. But yeah, so you can go to those two links that I'll have in the description. Um, to support the channel, it's easily the best way to support the channel. And here we go. Here are the video settings. So quality, all of those set to high is what AMD gave me when I told it to optimize for quality. Video memory set to 2 gigs and high, and rendering very high, all trees plus grass, SMAA, and yada yada yada. And so here is what I get when I set it to quality, I believe. Or when I told it to optimize for quality rather than performance. Yeah, I think quality. I think it's just because I'm in a forest that it's sort of freaking out. At least when I first started recording, it should get better a bit later. But yeah, so, and I'll actually be completely honest with you, the character looks like absolute garbage when I have it told to optimize for performance. The character just looks like absolute garbage. You'll actually see, I'll eventually zoom out, or I'll go into third person and show the character. Yeah, does not look good, to be completely honest with you. But I don't think that's till towards like the end of this little section here. Well, I say little section, it's a good, I don't know, almost 6 minutes in all. But whatever. So yeah, you'll actually, eventually I'll zoom out, or go in third person, and you'll be able to see the character, and you should, I think I'll actually do it like near a tree, so you can actually sort of see the difference between the character and the tree, and I'll be honest, the tree looked a lot better than the character, in my opinion. And that's a bit sad, to be honest. But yeah, so again, this is when I tell AMD Gaming Evolved to optimize the game for performance. And I'm pretty sure NVIDIA has something similar that allows you to tell it to optimize games for different settings. So pretty sure NVIDIA they have something that you can tell it to optimize a game for, like quality, performance, balanced. So yeah. And AMD Gaming Evolved now actually has the ability to record footage, so I technically speaking could have used that. However, that's incapable of, at least I'm pretty sure it doesn't actually show you FPS, so realistically speaking, I wouldn't be able to record footage using it and show you guys this. And it's similar to NVIDIA's Shadow Play in that aspect, since it can record. But that's something that was only added in recently. I haven't actually really used it, because when they first added it in, you were incapable of recording a microphone. Now you can, but still haven't bothered trying it because I have no reason to. Just because DxTory and Bandicam are the only things I really utilize, and they work perfectly fine for me. But yeah, this. Yeah, okay, well, there's the character now. You got to see it for just a little bit. It looked like garbage, to be completely honest with you. I'm pretty sure you'll get a better look at it a bit later on, because like I said, I'll actually zoom in, or I'll go in third person and zoom in on them, and I'm pretty sure I do it next to a tree for the sake of showing some sort of comparison. But it's been about a day actually since I recorded this, so I don't actually know 100% on that. And in case any of you guys ever decide to go and send me a friend's request on Steam, chances are I'll decline it. because I only accept friend requests from people that I actually know in real life, and, well, to be completely honest, chances are I don't know any of you in real life. So, yeah. But yeah. So this segment's almost over, and I should be doing the sort of side-by-side comparison fairly soon. Um, but yeah. So FPS here actually was, generally speaking, not that bad. It wasn't actually as good as I would have expected it to have been. Yeah, there's me zooming in, that you guys saw for just a little bit. And there's a sort of side-by-side comparison of the character and the tree with these settings. And the tree, like I said, in my opinion, looked a lot better than the character does. Character looks very blurred, in my opinion, is the best way to describe it. It looks very blurry. And here are the settings that it gives me. When I, again, told AMD Gaming Evolve to optimize for performance. So very low and disabled. 256 megs, very low and disabled. Low, disabled, disabled, very low, disabled, disabled. And that's what you end up having the game look like. Garbage, essentially. And here's what I have it set to when I tell it to go to balanced. Or when I tell it to optimize for balanced. And it wasn't bad. I still think the character didn't particularly look that great. So I will more than likely end up going, like I said towards the beginning of the video, with what the guide optimized or told me to do for settings, or said to do for settings, just because it works. But there's one section of the guide that's persistent across all of these, and that is actually, if I were to go and bring up the guide, just because it'll help me out, if I can find it. 1 second. And that is the, I think, very first section of the guide. Guides. Yeah, one second. I'm trying to get the guide up. And I think you guys already saw, but yeah, there was a player over there. That's the first player I've run into in playing DayZ Standalone. But then again, I don't play all that often. I don't play for very long when I do. And I, generally speaking, play on a low population server that only has like 6 or 7 people on it, usually. Yeah, the only part that's persistent across all of these sections is the game launch parameters of the guide. And I basically have all of those set except for the win XP portion of it. I don't bother putting that in, but I put in the CPU count, the extra threads, the max memory and max video RAM portion of the guide, and then the no splash and no pause, which I don't think actually work for this game. But yeah, that's the part that's persistent across all of these. And this section here is actually a very short section. But generally speaking, I don't think any of these guys, or any of these little sections, these AMD Gaming Evolve ones actually necessarily were the best for me, because setting it for quality makes the game run like garbage. Setting it for performance makes the game look like garbage, and it still doesn't necessarily run that great. Setting it at balanced isn't all that bad, but it still isn't great. However, here at balanced, it looks like I'm actually, generally speaking, doing much better in terms of FPS here in the tree line. So I'll do one of two things. I'll either take the guide and make edits to that, or I'll take the balanced setup that I have here and make changes there. One of the two, one of them will end up giving me a good FPS, and the game's still looking pretty good. And here are the settings I get when I go and tell it to optimize for balanced. So low, 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 low. 512 megs, low and low. And very high, all trees and grass, FXAA on very high, very low, disabled, and low. As always, like, favorite, comment, subscribe, share, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.